Hello and welcome to Think Share. My name's Zach. I'm here to bring to what I've been thinking about, sharing about, talking about, listening to, reading about that doesn't belong in math class to make you the goodest version of yourself. Yesterday, I was officiating a track meet, and I did high jump back in high school, so I was enjoying the fact that I actually got to officiate the high jump, measure the heights, and call out jumpers as they're about to jump. And as it was closed, I had this moment where I really had to, the inner child in me said, yo, you can jump this. It was set at 5'11". My PR all time is 6'4". And I thought to myself, yeah, I could probably jump 5'11" right now. And I thought to myself, would I be setting a bad example if I were to do that? And the other thing I've been working on lately, if you've heard any of my other recent shows, is that I've been trying to learn how to do a backflip. And so if you recognize a high jump mat, right, it's a nice cushy surface. And, it's been a couple days, well, a little over a week actually, since I've done my last practice on it. So I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity to practice my rotation and, just get in a few rotations trying to get my brain wrapped around the idea of rotating backwards and not being afraid of it. So I had this moment where I had to say to myself, well, Zach, you're a teacher. Are you setting a bad example? And are you welcoming behavior that people would not want to see and you wouldn't want your students to model after? And so I thought about it for a little bit, and I think that taking a few jumps at the high jump and using it for what it's meant for, I think that right there was that was a responsible choice. So I took a couple attempts. I actually made it 5'11". I asked one of the students that was high jumping earlier if he could tell me what I was making the mistake of. I also shared with them that I do want to participate in the Bay State games this year, and I don't really have anywhere to practice. So what I tried doing was setting up the context of my use of the equipment to show that I'm actually trying to get a little bit better at high jump rather than just messing around. Then I was about to walk away. I was pretty much done with the high jump. I tried a couple at 6'1" and didn't make it. And I just really wanted to get in a practice backflip. And I thought to myself, if a lot of people were to see me doing this, I think that more people might be tempted to use it to do backflips. More people might be tempted to use it not for its purpose, but for other purposes rather than high jump. And I also said to myself, life's short, and this is a pretty awesome opportunity right now to just be able to jump on this. I don't have anything cushy at home that I can do this without setting it up. It's just right here. If I get one or two in, very few people will see, and I don't know that it would have a huge impact. Now, if I had a giant group of people around me watching, I might have thought a bit harder about this. So I said to myself, I'm just gonna try one, and I did it, and I didn't land it. I landed on my knees, but it was good that I got. In terms of my individual physical development towards doing a backflip, it was useful. It just got me taking a little bit more action as I have not been taking action the past week. And, I got some feedback actually a couple minutes later that two people saw me from a distance. So reflecting on it all, I'm considering, was this a good choice? If I had the same option to do it, would I do it again? And I think I would do it pretty much the same way. I might actually I might have even considered doing just a couple more flips, but trying to do it a little bit quicker. I think that the impact of it will not be significant. I could be wrong, and I'd have to ask the track coaches if there was a lot more people trying to use the mats for different purposes. But what I want to invite you as the listener here is to consider, who are the people that you are often trying to set a good example for. For me, it's for my students, it's for the people at school, it's for teachers, and some of the behaviors I'm often trying to model are a really simple one is when I walk into school every day, almost every day I try to pick up at least one piece of trash off the ground, and just do it in front of students so that they see that, teachers are not too good to pick up after others. And so if I can do it, there's no reason they can do it. Another thing is I try to be honest, and I try to, when I've made a mistake in judgment or I've said something that I wish I hadn't, I acknowledge it. I think in schools oftentimes we have teenagers, they say a lot of things is that frontal lobe is not completely developed. And, I think people say things they wish they hadn't said. What we don't see quite often enough, I think, is people don't take it back. They don't even try to take it back. They don't acknowledge that what they had said, they wish they hadn't said. So that's one of the things I also try to do. And I'm also trying to model behavior that I would want to expect out of them. Now, this was certainly on a slightly different side, which was, using equipment not the way it was meant to use. And at the same time, one of the bigger messages for people that follow my moves is that I'm trying to knock off something off my bucket list. And one of the things I really invite people to do is to live like there's no next month, like there's no next year. Like if you were to make this, I think it's overdone is when people say live like there's no tomorrow. I think we would really throw a lot of our structure out the window if we're living like there's no tomorrow. But if there's no next month, or there's no next year, or next 5 years, or maybe you only get a decade left, that changes things a little bit, I think no next decade, you still get your education, you still go through high school, you still go through college probably, and at the same time, you're a little bit more keen on how you use your actions every day. So knocking things off your bucket list, I think, is one of the more healthy things that not quite enough people actively practice in. And so that's one of the behaviors that I suppose I was sort of modeling there, but you'd have to know a little bit more context behind that than if you were to just see me going for the backflip. So thank you for listening today. This was a little bit of a longer message, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. Send me a message. I would love to hear about how people are trying to knock things off their bucket list and kind of behaviors they try to model for their peers or their coworkers or their students or the people that they mentor or set an example for in life. Thank you again for listening. Stay weird.